Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. I always like to do a big coffee bar sign at the top of my coffee bar. And this is the one I had for my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar. And we're just going to reuse it. I've reused it a million times. It's just a thrift flip sign, just a pallet board sign, but it's the perfect size for the top of my coffee bar. So I'm just going to remove the shamrock. I didn't cause too much damage. I only had to use a little bit of hot glue here at the bottom. So I'm just trying to remove that and any like kind of sticky residue. I did a hand painted sign for St. Patrick's Day. Now today I kind of want to give myself a blank canvas. So I'm just using white acrylic paint and we're going to go over everything to try to cover up that like painting that we had on there and all of that bright green. What I want to do is I didn't really want like a bright yellow sign for like bee theme or a black sign. So I thought we could try to do like a faux wood grain on this to kind of do a wood theme for this. I think that's going to kind of go with my vibe. I have like a removable wallpaper on the wall behind my coffee bar that looks like white shiplap. And so I think it'll go nicely with it because my shelves on my coffee bar are also made out of wood. So just giving that plain white canvas, that meant I had to repaint the sides white as well. Whenever you like hand paint on here, you're going to have a little bit more paint in those areas, like where the words are. They're a little bit raised still. So I'm going to try to mask that, cover that up as much as I can. And you guys that have watched my channel for a long time know how many times I've remade the sign, probably like 10, 15 times at this point. I've got my money's worth from Goodwill. So I'm just taking Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree and going all over in one direction to give myself that faux wood grain. Now, as you can see when I did that on the top board, you can see the writing, the shamrock, like the raised paint from when I hand painted that. So it's going to need a little bit more attention up there, but otherwise I'm kind of going all over, kind of giving that faux wood grain. I love to do that. It's such an easy way to get that wood effect. To cover this, I'm just going to go over it with some more white acrylic over both words, and then I can go back in and distress more with my Antique Wax by Waverly until I can kind of mask that a little bit where I won't be able to read that in the final product. I'm not going to hand paint it today. I'm going to show you a different technique that's going to make a really easy temporary sign. So I love hand painted signs, but sometimes I like to try some different techniques, give you guys some ideas of what you can do, even if you don't have a Cricut, because I don't use a Cricut at all for this one today. Now, this is what we're going to put on the front of the sign. I got this at the Dollar Tree in the spring section. A little Crafty. It's a little honeycomb with a little wood bead on it. And it's the perfect size for this coffee bar sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint the honeycomb like yellow. This is bright yellow acrylic paint. And I'm just using a makeup sponge. We're going to go all over that bottom piece of it, just the honeycomb with the yellow. And then I'm going to do the little honeybee in a different color. Now, I didn't really want to do a lot of bright yellows and blacks. And so I thought, I did the honeycomb in yellow. The sign's going to be like a wood grain, right? So I thought I would just do the bee in like white in just one color. I'm not going to do any details or anything on that. I just kind of want it to look a little bit abstract. So again, just using a makeup sponge, I am going to carefully paint that white, trying not to get any paint on the sign below it. I did get a little bit on there, but no big deal. I can just go back in and touch that back up with some yellow. So here's our sign. As you can see, you can still slightly see the lettering on the top, but I think that we can mask it with our current letters. So I'm going to put the honeycomb over on the left side of our coffee bar sign. And this is that removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree, the white board. And I am just cutting one board of it off. It's just the right height to do lettering. So I thought this would be a really fun idea to try to do my own lettering with this removable wallpaper, and then I can just peel it off when I'm ready to switch this out. So I'm just going to use my ruler to kind of help me kind of figure out some straight lines here for the letters. What I wanted to say is coffee buzz. I thought that would be really cute because my coffee bar is where I always come to get my coffee buzz, and it's going to go with my bee theme. So I thought that would be fun. So I'm just trying to do like a boxy C, something that's going to be easy to cut out. So kind of use my ruler on that one to kind of give myself a good start. And I kind of started a little bit further down the log to avoid like the nail holes that were on there on the little wood slat. And so I'm going to kind of do that boxy kind of effect on all the letters. So the first line we're going to do coffee. So I'm going to use that C to kind of measure how big I need my rectangle to be able to make an O. And all these letters were pretty easy to make in this like boxy fashion. And so when I get the O, I just do a rectangle. I fold it in half, and then I cut a little rectangle in the middle. And that turned out perfectly. I was able to cut them all out pretty easily, except for the bee and buzz, and I'll show you how I ended up doing that. So I cut the same size square for F, and I'm going to need 2 of those. And I'm also going to need 2 E's, and I want them all to be the same size. So just using that one little rectangle as a reference, stacking 2 on top of each other, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the bottom of an F. That way, my letters are going to be the same since I'm cutting them out together, and it's going to make it look more consistent. The F is so similar to an E that I'm going to use that for reference to get my E started, but then changing it to an E, and then I can use that E as a reference for my second E. So the top row there is going to say coffee. And this turned out really well. I wasn't sure if this would work. I guess you could always cut this with your Cricut as well. But I kind of wanted to show you an option that you could use in case you didn't have a Cricut. So we're going to spell out coffee. I like to put words on the top 2 boards of my coffee bar sign because I usually have things sitting in front and you won't be able to read it. So since it's peel and stick wallpaper, we're just going to simply peel off the backing on this and just kind of sit them all on there. I think it turned out really good. I was really impressed without using any kind of a cutting machine. And I wasn't sure how well I would be able to paint on top of that antique wax by Waverly. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out another board for the buzzword just by cutting out another strip and kind of measuring how big I want those rectangles to be. We're going to go ahead and cut out 4 of those for buzz. Now the B was the only one that I kind of curved a little bit on the edges because I didn't want it to look like an 8. So I do curve it on the top and bottom on the right side. Then I wasn't sure how I was going to cut the B shape out. So I kind of had to cut it, and then I'm going to have to kind of piece it back together there, but that's fine. And then the U is super easy. And then the Z, I just cut both of them out at once. Just a nice boxy Z. And there we have it. We have all of our letters for this cutout, and they're just the right size. So this is an idea if you want to do lettering on a sign and you don't want to use Dollar Tree stickers or something like that, you can totally make your own. So I was really impressed with how that turned out. I will definitely have to use this technique again in the future. So we have our coffee buzz, and even though I cut that, I can kind of line that right back up and you can't even tell. I went back and forth about what kind of expression I was going to put on here, but I kind of wanted a B word, so I love that I went with coffee buzz. Now to seal that down a little bit, I'm going to use just some matte Mod Podge just to help it stay down. It's not going to make it stick permanently or anything though. And then we can go ahead and use hot glue to glue down our honeycomb. I had so much fun putting these honeybee DIYs together. I had done a bee tier tray my first year on YouTube, so 2 years ago. And it's like my best video ever done. So I was tickled to try to do some bee DIYs again using supplies from the Dollar Tree. I do go over it with a little bit more Mod Podge just because I was kind of worried that some of the letters weren't going to stay down. They totally do, though. So that's the finished product. We're going to go hang that at the top of my coffee bar. I really like how that sign turned out. And when I was needing to reuse it, it really was no problem at all painting over that antique wax, which I was a little bit worried about when I did that DIY on there. But here are all the fun bee coffee bar themed DIYs. How cute is that little bee garland there? So much fun.